I feel great.
All right, let's do it. So again, my name is Jason Mogan. I am the Associate Director of Scholarship Programs. I'm so excited to be here with you all tonight to talk about financial aid. And we're going to start with a mini presentation that my colleague Shannon is going to lead. Shannon, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. My name is Shannon Shepard. I'm happy to be here tonight to answer questions about financial aid. I am the Director of Financial Aid here at UNC Asheville, and I've been here for just over 20 years. So I look forward to answering any questions that you may have.
So just one more friendly reminder, if you have any questions throughout this presentation, feel free to use that Q&A feature. We're happy to answer any questions that you have throughout. But with that, I'm going to turn off my microphone and video. And Shannon, I'm going to let you get started with the presentation.
Sounds great.
All right.
All right, everyone. Again, I am here to answer questions about financial aid, and we're going to start with the next steps and what you need to know if you still need financial aid. So as you see here on the slide, the first thing that needs to be done is your FAFSA. You would go to fafsa.ed.gov. Remember to always use the GOV version. There are some .com, .net versions out there that charge you, but the first acronym stands for free, and we don't want anyone to use those versions where they are being charged. So remember, it's fafsa.ed.gov. We ask that you do that as quickly as possible. Normally, it opens up October 1st. In some of the future years, it seems that it's going to open in December. When you are doing your FAFSA, if you want UNC Asheville to receive it, remember to use our school code, which is 002907. We must have your FAFSA in order to make an award for you. So Must Financial Aid, again, requires that your FAFSA is filled out before you would receive anything. Some UNC Asheville Merit Aid also requires that you do a FAFSA. When you're doing your FAFSA, you're going to always use your prior tax return for the year we're talking about. That would be 2021, since this is 23, and the prior year would be 2021. On your FAFSA, you can include up to 10 schools to get your FAFSA submitted to. For some reason, if you have more than 10, you can always submit your FAFSA, go back into your FAFSA, act like you're making a change, and you can replace one of the schools that you already listed with another school code and resubmit your FAFSA. So it's just switching one out. In the future, you'll be able to list up to 20. Verification is something that could happen that I want to keep you all informed about. Sometimes the processor selects your FAFSA randomly for verification, which is just like a second check. They're just confirming that the financial information that you put on your FAFSA is correct. If you are selected, we must have all of the items completed that we request from you before we can make a financial aid award for you. So check that email that you use for your application or in your applicant portal for updates.
Shannon, I'm going to pop in with a quick question. One of the students who registered for our session tonight asked the question about dependency overrides. So how can an admitted student get a dependency override for financial aid if they have no dependency information on their FAFSA?
That's a great question. We would want you to reach out to FinAid. So it's FINAID at unca.edu and request a special circumstance based on your situation so that we can give you the individualized help that you need. So just reach out to us at FinAid at unca.edu, and we're happy to send that information to you.
Thanks, Shannon. And I also wanted to point out that the link for FAFSA has changed since this presentation was made. It's fafsa.gov. No ED, just fafsa.gov. I'm going to pop out and we'll continue the presentation.
All right, I'm ready for the next slide. Thank you. Here's a sample of a financial aid award letter that you might get. So on the next couple of slides, what I'm going to do is go over some of the items that you are seeing reflected here on a financial aid award letter. So one of the first things I'll talk about is direct cost and indirect cost. So Direct costs are those items that will be billed to you and they'll show up on your bill: tuition, fees, room and board. And board is just food. Indirect costs are costs that you will have to pay. They will not show up on your bill, but there are costs associated with taking classes such as books and supplies and miscellaneous expenses. Ready for the next slide. All right, so on this slide, what we'll talk about is types of financial aid that you may get. So we'll start with grants and scholarships. If you've received a grant or scholarship, congratulations on that. That is free money that you do not have to pay back to the school. It is normally need-based aid. So things like your federal Pell Grant, federal supplementary educational opportunity grant, North Carolina scholarship, which comes out of the lottery money for North Carolina residents, UNC Asheville need-based grants. And then there are merit-based scholarships. So that's based on merit, like your GPA, class rank, scores, things of that nature. That would be like a university merit award or any name UNC Asheville scholarships like that you might get from UNC Asheville, but not a university merit. Do it next slide. And then there's loans. And something I want to point out at UNC Asheville, we always package your loans last. That's the last thing we put on your award package. And loans are money that you have to pay back. There's two types of loans. So you have a subsidized loan. On the subsidized loan, that's the loan that's not accruing interest. So I always tell students, if you don't want to take out loans and you've been awarded a subsidized and an unsubsidized loan, you're trying to figure out which one you should accept, it's the subsidized loan because it's not accruing any interest. The unsubsidized is the opposite, and it is accruing interest from the first day that it's dispersed. So when you receive the money on your bill, then it's going to start accruing interest. Okay. Another form of financial aid that you could receive is work study. Work study is a great way to gain skills for jobs. As you are taking your classes, keep in mind that work study is funding that is paid directly to you for your personal expenses. It's not like your scholarship monies that you get and you receive it up front. These are monies that you receive as you work and earn hours. Keep in mind that a FAFSA also is required in order to be eligible for work study. If you're not eligible for work study, but you want to work on campus, there is campus employment. So just want to throw that nugget out there as well. Okay.
Shannon, I'm going to pop in. We have a number of questions that have come through now that we've taken a look at an example of a financial aid package. So I want to first start with cost. So just to reiterate, housing and meals is covered in the cost of attendance. It is included. Yes. And financial aid can be applied to housing and it can be applied to dining.
Yes.
One student was wondering if you could address the difference between in-state cost and out-of-state cost.
The tuition is going to be the higher cost for out-of-state. For our in-state students that are residents and they pay North Carolina taxes, they have a lower tuition than students who are out-of-state.
And towards the end of this presentation, we'll talk a little bit about the residency determination service. And so we'll dig into that a little bit more. A number of questions came through about scholarships. So one question is, how are scholarships applied to financial aid?
Okay, and it's going to also be on a later slide that we have, but when we receive a scholarship, we apply it directly to your unmet need. And then if there's no unmet need, we start reducing loans. And if it's a merit award, then it's just taken directly off of your financial aid. So a need-based scholarship, it is taken directly off of your unmet need. And then after all of your unmet need has been met, we will reduce your loans. Did that answer the question?
Yeah. And then another one is, are scholarships dependent on residency?
Not outside scholarships, not any scholarship. It's not based on residency, no.
Right. And I'll just add, because another student in the chat asked if named UNCA scholarships are available to incoming freshmen. And we have a very, very small number of named scholarships that are for incoming students. And those scholarships criteria are based on where the student is coming from. And so for all of our scholarships, you are automatically considered if you are eligible, but the one main scholarship, which is University Merit Award, is applicable to all students, regardless of where they're coming from when they apply to UNCA. And these merit scholarships are not impacted by whether or not you choose to live on or off campus. Another question that came through is, can you explain what the NC scholarship is?
The NC scholarship comes from the state of North Carolina. It comes out of the lottery money for education that we receive from the state of North Carolina. And it is also based on need. We look at it's a formula that was derived by the Department of Education in North Carolina. So they take a look at your Pell Grant and they have an index, and that determines how much money you receive. So it is a need-based scholarship from the state of North Carolina that comes directly out of the educational lottery money.
Thank you. Two last questions for you. One is, how do I know if work study is available to me?
Okay, if you have gotten an award letter from us, work study will be included on your financial aid package. If for some reason you're interested in work study and it's not on your financial aid package, then you can contact us at finaid@unca.edu. We'll take a look at your financial aid to see if you have need left in your package, because work study is a need-based program. And if so, we can add that to your package. The way that it's selected is if students on their FAFSA say, I'm interested in work study, that box where you can check yes or no. If you did not check yes to that on your FAFSA, we do not award that to you in your initial award.
And then my last question for you before we continue on to the next slide. How do students get to choose their work study?
That's a great question. We have a database that is, the name is escaping me.
Is it Handshake?
It's Handshake. Thank you, Jason. We have Handshake that all the jobs are listed in, and students are able to go on and choose from a selection of jobs that are classified as work study. So students are able to choose based on the list.
Thank you. I will ask you one more question, and then I'll let you get back to the presentation. When do students receive their financial aid package?
Well, we like to start giving out award to incoming students. We like to start giving those out the middle of February, early March. It depends on when the federal government releases the Pell Grant charts, and we have the grant index from the state of North Carolina.
Thank you, Shannon. And so if you haven't yet completed your FAFSA, you need to submit that test as soon as possible. And once that information gets sent over to our financial aid office from FAFSA, then we'll process that as quickly as possible so you can get the information that you need to make an informed decision about coming to UNCA.
Yes.
All right, Shannon, I will let you continue. Thank you for letting me ask all the questions.
Those are great questions, and we need to get those answers out there. Thank you so much. All right, now we're going to go to your bill. So managing your bill, you see here the website for student accounts. You can go onto this website, and this is where you can set up your parent or your guardian as an authorized person to pay your bill. Because initially you would be the only person, the student, who could pay the bill unless you set up your parent as an authorized user to be able to pay a bill for you. Another option that student accounts has for your payment is a payment plan. And those payments can be broken down into 4 or 5 installments depending on when you start. There is a $47 enrollment fee. And remember, your bill is broken down by the term. So you'll receive a bill for the fall, and a bill for the spring. If you look back at your award letter and it showed you how much you had left to pay, that was for the year. So you would take that and divide it by 2, and that's how much you would pay each semester.
All right, popping back in because I saw some questions that are related to this. So one of our attendees asked, what's the deadline to pay your bill?
The deadline to pay your bill is for the incoming in August is August the 15th.
Thank you.
In January, I believe it's January the 15th, but those dates are out there on the student accounts website.
Great. So we definitely encourage you to check out studentaccounts.unca.edu if you're looking for any information about how to pay your bill.
Here's some additional funding sources. Did you have other questions, Jason?
Nope, that was it.
Okay, so there are 529 plans and there are Florida prepaids. And what happens is Alexis Levinson, who is the director of student accounts, she will bill your plans directly once you turn in the information to her, and your 529 plan or your Florida prepaid will be paid directly to the school in monthly installments as they are billed. Also, if you are a veteran and you have veteran benefits, we have a wonderful certifying official, Amanda DeWeese, and she processes all the Chapter 31, Chapter 5, whatever type of benefit that you have for veteran benefits. And those are not included in the financial aid calculation, so it goes directly onto your student account without affecting financial aid. Or other source could be private loans. And these are loans that you get from outside entities, not the loans that you may get from the federal government that may appear on your award letter. These are loans that could have a significantly higher interest rate. So you just want to make sure you are cautious as you look at private loans. We do have something on our website at Elm Select where you can go on and compare the different interest rates. Outside scholarships are just non-governmental, non-UNC Asheville scholarships. These scholarships, as we stated a little bit earlier, will first be applied to any unmet need. And then if 100% of your need is met, we'll then use the scholarship to reduce loans. These are things like something like where you might belong to a certain church or a civic group, or your parents' employment, a job you might have, or a bank you may be associated with. Here are some options for scholarship searches, and it's very important to do some extra research to search for scholarships because every dollar helps. So FastWeb is one, CFNC, Go Mary, and then College Board Big Future Scholarship Search. These are some great sources that you can look at and find additional funding.
We had a question pop into the Q&A feature. One of our guests wants to know, is it better to use up money in a 529 plan before taking out loans, specifically an unsubsidized loan?
I would say yes, because of the interest that is accruing on your unsubsidized loan. My answer would be yes.
Thank you. Moving on to the next slide.
All right, some things to keep in mind. You will see health insurance on your bill. So every student is billed for health insurance unless it is waived. And so it's Blue Cross Blue Shield of North Carolina. You have up until September to opt out of this. So it'll be on your bill. And then once you go and opt out because you have your own insurance, if that's the case, then you will see a waiver on there. So you'll see the charge and you'll see a waiver, and they will zero each other out. It's important to waive it by September because what happens is after September, UNC Asheville has already paid Blue Cross Blue Shield. And so we have to charge you regardless of whether you waive it at that point. So be sure to waive your insurance if you already have health insurance before September. You can find the enrollment form or waiver in the applicant portal enrollment checklist that's coming soon. Also, we have what we call the Bookstore Advanced Program for students, and it's by invitation only, and it's generally given to our Pell Grant recipients. Students can use a portion of their anticipated refund to go ahead and purchase books and supplies prior to the first day of class. So this is a great way to get your books before classes start, especially if you're a Pell Grant recipient. Earlier, we were talking about residents and out-of-state and in-state tuition. Here's where you go, residency. You see this website here. You must go here, and you usually do this when you are doing your application to admission. You must go in and complete residency. Once you complete residency, it will give you an RCN number, I believe. I hope I'm saying that right, Jason. And that will determine whether you're in-state or out-of-state. And another way is looking at your financial aid package, and you can see based on your cost of attendance if you are in state or out of state. If for some reason you feel like the residency status that you have received is incorrect, be sure to go onto this website and do an appeal. Are there any questions about that? If not, we can move to the next slide.
We do have a question about health insurance. Is health insurance included in the expenses on a financial aid award letter, or is it in addition to the expenses?
It is in addition. We do not include it on the award letter because most students here opt out of health insurance. However, if you opt into, if you have the health insurance and you are charged for it, we will add it to your cost of attendance so that you can use financial aid to cover it. It's just not automatic.
Thank you, Shannon. All right, financial aid appeals.
Financial aid appeals. So unfortunately, sometimes people have circumstances that are unusual that they need to appeal financial aid, meaning you've got a financial aid award and you do not feel like it's reflective of your current situation. So say you had a severe illness or a health issue, a death in the family, separation or divorce, or job loss. So your income is significantly different right now than it was based on the information you placed on your FAFSA 2 years ago, because keep in mind you're using the prior year. Then you can reach out to us at finaid@unca.edu. I feel like I'm saying that a lot, but you can reach out to us because we want to give you that individualized and personal help that you need. And we don't want to divulge any personal information over a public platform. So just reach out to us and we will be able to give you the information you need. And if your information is significantly different and would cause your awards to change, then we would submit changes to the processor, recalculate your financial aid, and send you an updated award letter.
Thank you. And then we have some contact information for everybody. This is the beautiful financial aid team. I wanted everybody to see all the faces that go behind getting you your financial aid award letters and answering all of your questions and working through every specific financial circumstance, because really there are people on the other side of the line answering your emails, trying to ensure that your financial aid package is correct and will best support you during your time at UNCA. So when you're emailing finaid@unca.edu, know that this is the team who's responding to your emails. And when you call our line, these are the friends who are going to be answering any questions that you have. Tom, thanks for calling out Adrian. She really is the best. So we're truly here to support you. Shannon, was there more you wanted to add?
Oh, I was going to say, I just love this slide. No, I'm just kidding. This is a great slide. Everyone here is here to help you. We love to hear from our students. We love helping our students. One of the mottos that I have is that I like causing dreams of others to become reality. And so students who are pursuing their educational goals, I like to be involved in that process to help them carry it forward and make that dream become a reality. So we are here to help you, and anything that you need, feel free to reach out to us, and the information is here on this slide.
Thank you, Shannon. I have a few more questions in the Q&A feature. One of them is about commuter students. Do students have to pay for housing and food if they commute?
They do not, but what we do with the financial aid is we give you enough financial aid to cover what the housing and the food would be on campus if you are eligible for the aid. So no, you won't be billed, but you could receive enough financial aid to cover it if you're eligible.
And then I have two health insurance questions, and I'm not sure if you're the person who's able to answer them. And if not, I'm going to pop in an email address into the chat. But the first one is, do you know how much the health insurance is?
I don't think the new cost has been established yet, but Jay Cuspix would know. I don't know which email you're putting out there, so.
I was going to put out Jay's email.
Okay.
And so for our two friends that have asked questions about health insurance, I've pulled this from their website, and Jay manages health and counseling at UNCA and is also incredibly friendly. So do not hesitate to call that number, and Jay will get back to you with more information if you need, especially if that link doesn't already answer the question for you. And you'll be able to access the health insurance waiver or the enrollment form through your applicant portal. Very shortly, your applicant portal is going to include a checklist of items that are optional or required for your enrollment. And so you'll be able to see all of those pieces, and one of them includes health insurance. Are there any other questions that are coming through in the Q&A, in the chat? We are happy to answer for you. And Shannon, thank you so much for that presentation. That was really comprehensive and super helpful.
You're welcome.
So one person asked, is University Merit Award negotiable? Generally speaking, the answer is no. We feel really confident that the amount that we provided is reflective of what we saw in the application based off of a student's academic performance, course rigor, standardized testing if they have it, and class rank if they have it. If for some reason you feel like that number is truly not reflective of your experience in your high school, you can reach out to us and we can take another look. But in our experience, that number really doesn't change unless there was some very significant change in your academic circumstances. For example, perhaps after your mid-year grades were completed and you resubmitted your transcript, we discovered a big increase in your GPA, then we can take a look. But I would not expect a change there. But you are welcome to reach out to us about it. We have another question about, is there a deadline for any aid submission? Shannon, I imagine there might be a date, but the real answer here is get that FAFSA into us as quickly as possible. The earlier you get it in, the access to more funds you have, and the quicker we can turn around that financial aid package to you. But Shannon, is there a deadline?
There is a deadline. It's June the 30th. I would not wait till June the 30th if I were you, because we do have money that runs out and is given out on a priority basis based on your FAFSA submission. So yes, Jason, you're correct. Do it as soon as possible so that you're in the running for as much as financial aid as possible.
Yeah. Another guest in the chat asked, can merit scholarships be taken away? The answer is technically yes. In order to maintain UNC Asheville merit scholarships, you are expected to maintain a 3.0 cumulative GPA and maintain your status as an enrolled full-time student. But if for some reason you end up not meeting that criteria while you're here, we do not automatically take that merit scholarship away from you. We have a conversation first, and we put a plan in place for you to help you improve your academic standing so that you can maintain that scholarship funding. So it is not an immediate change in your financial aid status. Shannon, is there anything that you want to add to that?
No, I think you said it perfectly.
Another scholarship question is, can the merit award amount change from year to year? The answer is no. The merit award amount stays the same from year to year, unless there is some very special circumstance where the university receives funding from the state or a donor. But really, the amount that you get upon admission is the merit award that you can expect over the course of your time at UNC Asheville. I will add that there are scholarships that current students on campus who are undergraduates can apply for. Generally, they're open to juniors and seniors. They're run by each individual department, and those departments manage the selection process for who receives that funding. So there are more opportunities out there, but they tend to be departmentally based. Let's see. Shannon, how many credit hours are required to be considered a full-time student?
12 or more. So a lot of students, take 15 hours, but you need 12 in order to be considered a full-time student.
Thank you. Let me see other questions that are in here because a number came through. We had a couple of guests ask, how does the honors program offer any scholarships? So the honors program does not technically offer any scholarships, but there is a small amount of funding reserved for learning experiences that may fall outside of the typical expenses billed on your account. And if you are admitted to the Honors College, there will be a virtual Q&A that we hold soon. We're finalizing the date on that. We'll be sending out a notification to all Honors Program students, and that is a great question to ask. You can also reach out to honors@unca.edu to ask more questions about that funding opportunity. Let's see. Another question came in. Do families need to resubmit all tax and financials each year? And will that impact the financial aid that you receive from year to year?
Yeah, that's a great question. So you would need to submit a FAFSA every year. So once you did your FAFSA, say this year, it'll be for the upcoming academic year. It will be good for the fall, the spring, and the summer. And then for the next academic proceeding that year, you will need to complete another FAFSA, and it would be the next year's prior year taxes. And it could change your award based on what information you put in your FAFSA. Generally, if your employment stays the same and the number in household and number in college stays the same, then generally your financial aid will stay the same. But when you're filling out your FAFSA from year to year, if any of those components change, in number in household, number in college, adjusted gross income, or your assets, it could make a difference in what you are awarded, especially need-based aid.
I'm going to stop sharing the screen so that our faces can be a little bit bigger for everybody. Sorry for taking so long to do that. A few more questions for you. We had a student who was selected for verification, and they went through the process of doing what was asked of them. And so the question is, how does the student know if we received the update? Yeah.
Yes. So when students are selected for verification, we put out in OnePort the requirements, and we also, if it's an incoming student, we send information to you in your applicant portal. And once any changes are made and a new financial aid letter is given to you, then, or an initial one, if you needed that before you got an award letter, it will show up in your applicant portal as a financial aid letter. And that's how you'll know that we've received it. If you're looking in OnePort, you'll just see all of your requirements have been marked as complete, but most students are looking at the applicant portal as new incoming students. So you will see it in your applicant portal, and you'll also see a financial aid award letter because your verification is complete. We will also send you an email to your email address once your verification items are complete.
Thank you. How is study abroad billed? Do you pay the same tuition and housing that you would at UNC Asheville, or do you pay tuition at the other institution?
So it depends on if you're going on an exchange program. If you're going on a direct exchange program, then you pay university the same tuition and fees that you would pay at the university, because it's a direct exchange, one student for another one. And so you would pay whatever we're being charged here at UNC Asheville. If it's not a direct exchange program, we have a lot of study abroad programs and the prices vary. You can use your financial aid though to cover the cost of study abroad. And the way that happens is we pay the money to the institution when you would receive your financial aid. So you would not have to pay your full program cost up front. You would have to pay for your airfare and a visa up front, because those are things that you would need to take care prior to traveling. Did I answer that fully?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. Someone asked if it's easier to go through our office or through FAFSA, and I'll just clarify that you have to submit the FAFSA through FAFSA.gov. If you ever have a question about how to fill out the FAFSA, we're happy to support, and you're welcome to email us so we can answer questions for you. But really, we're able to act more once the FAFSA is on file. And by you putting on that federal school code that we have, that's what gets the FAFSA from FAFSA to UNC Asheville in particular.
Absolutely. And once we get it, we can help you. If you're having problems doing it, we even will do virtual appointments with you to help you do it virtually. And if you go to our website, it's a program called Setmore. You can just go on and schedule an appointment. And one of the things that you can get help for is, help with the FAFSA. That's one of the categories. So we're happy to help you and your parents complete your FAFSA.
Yeah. Does anybody have any other questions? Someone asked a great question in the Q&A, but I want to save it to try and be the last one before I close this out.
Okay.
All right. So we have a guest here in the virtual space that said, what would you say is the one takeaway that our guests should consider when it comes to financial aid at UNCA?
The one takeaway, I would say never pay for a scholarship. And I would say never pay for your FAFSA. There, unfortunately, are a lot of scams out there where students are being asked to give $50 or $75 to be entered into a scholarship search. And that is so fraudulent. And I hate that is happening. But the one thing that I would say is never pay for a scholarship or for FAFSA completion. That's one takeaway. And another one, if I can give another one, I would say always contact the financial aid office. Never hesitate to contact us, because we are here for you. We want to know what questions you have, and we want to make sure that the process is successful and streamlined for you. So please reach out to us on our website or by calling us, and we're here to help you.
I really want to add to that. Financial aid officers are here to support you. And it's really important that you all know that you are empowered to ask any question, whether it feels big or small or super specific. If it might feel silly, whatever it is, we want to make sure that you have every last bit of information you need so that you feel confident in affordability for college. And that's really not just a UNC Asheville phenomenon. That is true of all financial aid offices. You want to speak with them and connect with them so you know that you have the best resources available to you. So do not hesitate to schedule that appointment. Do not hesitate to reach out to the financial aid team. They want to help. It's what we're here for. A couple of people are asking questions about how do we access this information? I'm going to look into seeing if we can put this presentation up in the admitted student portal for everybody. We continue to have virtual Q&As on Thursday nights. You can access those also through the admitted student page on the admitted student portal. Again, FinAid at unca.edu is the best way to connect with us. Setting up that appointment, it's in the chat. It's uncafinancialaid.setmore.com is a great way to connect with us as well. If you are curious, if you're a student and you're like, do I need my parent or guardian with me? I always say, if they are managing the finances, it's always helpful to have them be part of the conversation, but you as a student should also feel empowered to reach out and ask the questions. This is a great time for you to start taking ownership over your bill and your finances. This is actually your bill, so you are responsible for managing this process and giving your parents or guardians access to help you pay. And so it's just great to have everybody involved who needs to be. And then I see one last question in here about departmental scholarships. Can you apply for departmental scholarships now as an incoming student? And the answer is no, as of right now. Really, all of the scholarships that exist for incoming students, you're automatically considered by our office. And it's generally university merit award with a very small set of exceptions. What you get through that financial aid package is really what the merit award is that you receive. All right, we're at 7:42. I want to make sure, I believe we have until 7:45, or actually until 8 o'clock. And so I do want to allow for people to continue submitting questions just in case any roll in. Let's see. We have someone saying that they have a message saying they need to accept their financial aid. I imagine that's referring to submitting your enrollment form and depositing. Is that correct? Or is there another step connected to that, Shannon?
Or on your financial aid package, you have something that's in an offered status. Mostly everything that's on your financial aid award is accepted unless it's a loan. So if you want to accept your loan, once you are here and you go into one port, so that's as they progress on, Jason. So once you get started and you progress on to what will be our one port system, you will go in and accept or decline your loans.
Amazing. Yep, that person seconded what you just said.
Okay.
Merit scholarships at UNCA, if you're receiving them as University Merit Award, that is renewable. If you are a first-year applicant, it's renewable up to 4 years. If you are a transfer admitted student, it's renewable up until when you would complete that total of 8 semesters towards your graduation for college. And you do not need to do anything to renew those merit scholarships. Shannon, we have answered almost 50 questions tonight.
That is awesome. We're very efficient.
Yeah.
Please feel free to ask more questions if you have them. I'm
Yes.
happy to answer more.
Another question came in is, are there other events where we can connect? So again, I will very strongly recommend finaid@unca.edu. We're checking that inbox all the time. Setting up individual appointments with UNCA financialaid.setmore.com, or give us a call, 828-251-6535. We're here to help you individually. We do have another admitted student day on campus. It's April 22nd, and financial aid will be there staffing a table. So if you're in the area and you want to stop by and say hello, we're happy to engage with you in person, and you can always schedule an appointment to meet with us on campus outside of that admitted student day as well. Shannon, when is the deadline to accept an unsubsidized loan?
You can accept that all the way, believe it or not, up to your last date of attendance, so to the end of the semester. If you are not sure whether you want it or not, you can go ahead and decline it, because you can request it back up until the last day of the semester. So if it's something you're unsure about and you want to go ahead and decline it, you can do that. But then if you figure, oh, I need it later, you can go ahead and request it back. Or you can do the opposite. You can accept it, and if you later decide that you don't need it before classes start, you can go ahead and decline it later.
Another important loan question is about interest rates. So someone in the chat says, I've gotten recommendations to check Sallie Mae and other external loan providers. Do we need to ask about interest rates? Are these loans in the student's name or the parent's name?
So those loans can be either in the student's name or the parent's name. If you go out to our website and look at Elm Select, Sally Mae is one of the loans out there that we certify for outside lenders, and you can compare their interest rates, what they are currently with other lenders. Most likely, if you're an incoming student and you're freshly out of college, you will need a parent as a co-signer because there is an employment requirement along with a credit check. So those loans can be either in the parent name or in the student name. And if you go to UNC Asheville's website and look at financial aid, you will be able to see Elm Select. And I think, thank you, Jason. Jason's put it right there in the chat, and you can go out and compare the interest rates. But Sally Mae is one of the outside loans that we do certify for students.
How does a student share their outside scholarship with you? So let's say they got a scholarship from their high school Key Club. How do they let UNC Asheville know they have that funding?
Well, you send the award letter from the donor to our finaid at unca.edu. Once we get the letter, which is normally an award letter from that donor, we will add it to your university award letter at UNC Asheville. And then we'll send you an email that says you've had an adjustment to your award, and you can go on and look and see the update in your portal.
And to clarify, the donor sends that letter, right?
That's correct.
Yes.
And if the student has a copy of it, they can send it as well, but most of the time it comes from the donor.
Great. We have someone in the Q&A that just asked again about work study. So if you were eligible for work study, and if you identified that on your FAFSA form, that will be included in your financial aid package.
That is correct.
Right. And so all of the financial aid consists of scholarships, grants, loans, work study. And then in addition to that, you can seek out private loans. You can seek out outside scholarships. You can use your 529 savings plan to help pay for college.
Absolutely.
And there are non-work study jobs available to students on campus. You do not have to have work study to be able to work on campus.
That's correct.
And feel free to submit any last questions that you have. There's no question that's too specific. We're here to help and make sure that you have everything you need to know how to afford a UNC Asheville education. And if you're all set, really, this is the end of the presentation. So you're welcome to hang around in case other questions are asked. But this concludes the presentation on financial aid for UNC Asheville. And we're just here to stick around, almost like office hours, and answer any questions that you might have.
Was that a question about number of hours for work study?
Yes.
I think I saw that. We want your financial aid educational experience to be your first priority. So we ask students to work 20 hours or less per week in work study so that you can remain focused on your classes.
I believe the book cost is generally estimated at $1,200. Is that correct?
Yes, we estimate $600 a semester. It could be more, it could be less, but that's the average cost that we have. We do a survey every year to students, asking them how much it costs for books, and that's the average cost.
Great. Another question came in. Will my financial aid look differently after my first year?
It could. It just depends on your FAFSA information, but if you have a scholarship, it will remain the same. It will stay the same throughout your college career. However, if something changes in your FAFSA, like those categories I told you, household, number in college, assets, or adjusted gross income, then some of your need-based aid could change from year to year. For the most part, it should stay the same unless you have something changing in your FAFSA information.
A student asked, I'm in state, but I didn't get the residency done in time. They applied and they received their financial aid. And what do they need to do to update that?
You just need to go out to that residency website, and you need to go out and now there's a date by which you have to do it. So it's classes haven't started, so I feel like they still have time. So you need to go out to the ncresidency.org and submit an appeal and do a correction, and that can be updated.
Thank you. Another question, going back to loans, can you re-explain the difference between subsidized and unsubsidized loans?
Certainly. A subsidized Stafford loan, there's no interest accruing on it until you begin repayment. Repayment starts for loans 6 months after graduation, or if for some reason you fall below half time, then the payments begin. So there's no interest until your payments begin on a subsidized Stafford loan. On an unsubsidized Stafford loan, interest starts accruing from the first date that it's dispersed. So from the first day that you receive the payment on your bill, then interest starts accruing on an unsubsidized Stafford loan.
Thank you. So a student asked if they have already completed credit hours and only need to be at UNC Asheville for 3 years, does the university scholarship amount get distributed differently? The answer is no. So if you were awarded, let's say, a University Merit Award of $1,000 annually, you will receive $1,000 each year. Really, you'll receive $500 each semester. So if you ended up graduating a semester early, you'll get that $500 applied to the first semester. Another question came in about, can you just remind everybody about the payment plan?
Yes, if you have a balance and you want to use a payment plan, Student Accounts does offer a payment plan, and they can be paid in 4 to 5 installments a semester. And those payments have, the first to go into the payment plan, there is a $47 initial fee to set it up. So if you start paying ahead of time, it could be 5. If you start, when I say ahead of time, a month prior, then it could be 5 payments. But if you start paying each month that you're in school, it'll be 4 payments. So 4 to 5 monthly installments to complete the entire bill with for that semester with a $47 setup fee.
And connected to that again, just remind everybody, when do students begin paying their bill?
You have the choice. You can start paying a month before school starts in July, or you can start paying in August.
Great. If a student decides to either live off campus or transfer, will the financial aid transfer?
Financial aid does not transfer from school to school, but what you would do if you were going somewhere else, you would just make sure that you updated your FAFSA with that institution's school code. And then therefore that institution would receive your FAFSA and could award you financial aid. The same if you're coming to UNC Asheville from a different school and you haven't put our school code on there, you would need to add it so that we could see your information and process an award letter for you.
Shannon, you are a font of information. I have another one for you. I know that you had mentioned veterans benefits, but who does the student go to if they want to talk about using a GI Bill? Do they talk to us in financial aid, or do they talk to our Veterans Affairs rep?
They do. They talk to Amanda DeWeese, and she is over in the One Stop office, certifying official for veteran benefits. So veteran benefits is not housed in the financial aid office at UNC Asheville. It's housed in the One Stop, and her name is Amanda DeWeese.
Adrian beat me to putting all the information into the chat.
There's a double take in there. That's great.
All right, friends, any last questions before we close out? If a parent is a veteran, will that impact loans and grants?
Not at all. Veteran benefits are not included in our financial aid calculation.
All right. Shannon, you answered so many questions tonight, and I even feel like I've learned a little bit tonight about financial aid at UNC Asheville. Thank you so much for providing this information. So for those of you that are still here, I would very strongly encourage you, log back into the applicant portal for any other information that you need. The enrollment form is located in the admitted student portal. All of our registrations for any virtual Q&As and our upcoming admitted student day in late April is in the admitted student portal. All of our contact information is located there. And we've said it before, we'll say it again. If you have financial aid questions, you want to reach out to finaid@unca.edu. I'm popping that into the chat. That's FINAID@unca.edu. We are here to help you understand how to submit for financial aid, how to understand your financial aid, and to ask any specific questions that you might have about your circumstances. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We really appreciate you all coming into our virtual space. Congrats again on being accepted as our future Bulldogs, and reach out if you need anything at all. Thank you, Shannon. Thank you, Adrian. And thank you to Nate, who is also on the chat tonight, helping us out behind the scenes. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.